light for you in dark places when all other lights go out.
Hey guys, this is DCHL Devin here.
And this is DCHL Walker.
And welcome to our last episode of A Light in the Dark before Nova. So this is actually, because next week we're going to be so busy helping them pack and everything, we actually probably won't get one of these in for the next week. So this might be it for about 2 weeks. We'll try to see if we... Now, of course, you will get our regular videos for bat reps and everything we do with the GBHL, player interviews, and everything that's happening at Nova, but you just won't get one of these.
Yeah.
So
Nova special next week, and...
all week.
Yeah, all
Nova
week.
specials all week.
We should do some gaming interviews like they do with the GBHL for the tournament stuff.
Oh, yeah, that was already... We'll be hashing it out with the GBHL, what we do there. So, all right, so we have actually a lot of questions because obviously we haven't done these in a week. So we're going to go ahead and hop right into it. The first question actually comes from Damian O'Brien. He posted on ours, I guess giving a lot of clarifications because this is a really long post. Now I'm going to read it and respond to it, but just for the sake of this video, I'll clarify, kind of paraphrase it. So he says... Hey guys, great video as always. Looking forward to meeting you in a couple of weeks. A few things to respond to. Number one. So his first point talks about the Re-Desolation of Stockport and how it requires one or two of your most expensive models to be at least 250 points. So Smaug would be fine.
Okay, that makes sense now. That makes more sense.
Exactly. So he said this ruling was first used by Sam Page at the Mid-Sussex Wargamers for their tournaments. Sam wanted to fit bigger points games into tournaments without increasing the time limit, which would decrease the number of games you can fit in. We worked up this idea as it means you can increase the game from 6 to 750 without having to increase the time limit. So that's pretty much the point of that, though, is basically, yeah, he wanted... And I'm bringing the question down, actually, each time, just because these are big. But yeah, we discussed... yeah, they're really big comments. We were discussing whether Smaug would be legal in our previous Light in the Dark episode in the Re-Desolation of Stockport. So I guess it is.
It is. That's good to know.
Yep. So we will take that going forward. And the next thing he says is, you're playing Reconoider the correct way. Models that move off the table edge do not count as casualties and do not count as reducing that side to 25%. A very common tactic for smaller, faster shooting armies is to run roughly 45% of their army off the board, including their leader, and then charge the remaining models at the enemy force, get broken, butchered, and die before the enemy can reach your board edge. So yeah, if Smaug flew off the table, it would be monumentally stupid, as the other army could just walk off. Still, I think Recon is far from an auto loss for Smaug. I think he could easily kill the leader, break the force, and make a hell of a mess before the army got anywhere near his table edge. So bringing the question down again, what do you think about that?
I disagree. You need to reread that one there, man, because in the Reconoider has a special breaking point for itself, and it's the total number of models that you started with. If there's only 25% left on the board, it's broken, you're broken, and the game's over. And the reason why, that's because the models that do go off do count towards that broken number. However, it does not count towards you being broken or shattered. And that's where it gets a little bit confusing, and that's where I think a lot of people are confused on that one. I didn't have the word for confused.
I mean, honestly, this one raised a lot of debate because I am under the same impression of Damien. When I first made the video, I was like, all right, I don't think they count as dying. However,
no,
two of our head DCHL members highly disagree with that and have really pitched their arguments on that. So we're going to have a discussion about this before Nova starts, GBHL and DCHL, because one of our events is Reconoider. And if we have the GBHL coming down with one version in their heads and then us with another, it'll be really ugly and bad. So we're definitely going to follow up that with some conversation.
Yeah.
Don't worry, this will be resolved before the grand tournament on Saturday. Not worried about it, but still.
So far, I've been able to convince everybody as soon as I show them the rule book, so I think I'll be all right.
Maybe in one of our videos we'll actually clarify this on the weekend of Nova. But yeah, Damien, he disagrees. We have another one of our top guys. You don't see him in these videos, but he also disagrees.
He was actually on your side, Damien, before I showed him all the rules and then talked to him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, that's right." So
I am still on the fence, and the reason I'm on the fence is because I want to hear your arguments. I want to hear yours against his, because ultimately, as kind of, I guess, head judge of a sort in Nova, whatever I say sort of goes. So I don't want to make that all-defining opinion until I get everyone's, objections.
sounds fine to me.
So let's go ahead and roll right into the last question here, or last comment. He says the GBHL can play that you can might Sauron's ring roll. The reasoning being that the ring rule is linked to an asterisk in his fate entry, which implies it's his fate. Not everyone agrees on this, but it's a common consensus. I think that's everything for now. Keep up the great work, GBHL Damien. So this is another thing that actually can start kind of a little bit of a scuffle here. Actually, I forgot to mention.
We've caused a number of scuffles just
Yeah,
for us for saying
just
so.
the last week alone. I think we like thoroughly pissed off the community, like for
I don't
the
think-
Mirkwood spider comment.
I don't think pissed off is the correct term.
I was
friendly
dealing with
debate.
a mess. All right, so basically, yeah, we're not going to go with any outright things, but the way I was thinking, so this is where I would probably argue it. I absolutely agree that the asterisk absolutely means, all right, it is a version of his fate, it's where it comes in. Now, I will probably do some heavy research into this, because once again, this is something where, two leaders of the two organizations have seen it a little differently. We always felt like if it counted as his fate, everyone would just save Sauron's might for that point, and it makes a very boring game. Very boring, very impossible to kill this guy. And we didn't rule it that way just for that. It's just also, the Games Workshop has never been hesitant to say, this is his fate. I think a lot of times the Arkenstone or Blubbery Mask or anything that says, hey, this counts as a fate roll.
Or this changes your fate roll. Some of the
Yeah,
other stuff
it like
changes
clearly
it.
mentions fate in the ruling of the text.
Right.
And I didn't, it's not in the Sauron one. So, I mean, the asterisk could just be like, hey, ignore this, look here. But then again, to your credit, why didn't they just list his fate as 0?
I don't know.
They could have just said 0 fate and then had him have a ring roll. So, to your credit, you are absolutely correct. I can see a very strong position in your argument. Something else we should discuss before Nova, if it is the case that he absolutely, by the wording of the text, can might his ring, fair. It doesn't necessarily break the game, it just makes it boring. So, because Sauron's always going to save like 1 or 2 might.
You're going to call up the GBHL before Nova because she got a lot of questions to ask him.
Honestly, we're in regular chat, us and GBHL, and
No, this might require a telephone call.
yeah, I guess I'll wake up like 2 in the morning. I think that my 2 in the morning is like their 7 in the morning.
Yeah, or wait until Tuesday when they get here.
Oh God, no! Actually, they get here on Wednesday.
Oh,
so
Wednesday.
yeah, I corrected that.
I thought they got here on Tuesday.
No, Wednesday. It's actually kind of rough. It's gonna be a rough day for them because the very next day they're, in, and they already have a 5-hour time difference.
We'll just take them out drinking right away. It'll solve all those problems.
Come on, guys,
Let's go
party. So, all right. So we're pretty much 10 minutes in here, and let's go ahead and continue on to our next comments because we got a lot of questions on this one.
Okay.
So, Matt C., Lord of the Brown Ring, says, hey guys, thanks for the concise answers. 1 week till Clint and I head out. Hope your mind is warped from painting Walker.
I'm not finished yet.
He says, I barely feel like painting. I don't know how you do it. Anyway, one final question, I think. If you take, for example, Morannon orcs who have clubs, axes, and swords naturally packaged in a box, can you use all their special strikes in the same games? I don't see why not, but I read that being a problem, I believe, in another league. See you soon. So,
I'm confused. Yeah, you can use
yes.
one.
No, well, I think, okay, so
I'm
I'm going to
something.
answer this in two ways. If you mean, can one orc model use bash, feint, and
Pierce.
I guess stun? No, stun would be the other
stun.
one. Or yeah, piercing strike. Sorry,
Piercing
you're
strike.
right. If they can use all three of those as one model, no,
No.
it's whatever weapon he has, of course.
We were actually discussing this just on Monday.
Yeah.
There is only one model that we know of that can do two different special strikes at the same time,
Yes.
and that is
Iron Guard.
Yeah.
Iron Guard naturally in the box have a axe and a sword at the same time.
And so one attack is one, and one attack is the other one.
Yeah.
But you got to remember that lowers your fight and your defense if you lose, or well, it lowers your fight in general, and it lowers your defense if you lose the combat.
This is actually something we really intend to follow at Nova. If it didn't come in the original box or it's not listed in the profile, then it cannot be used. So no Reavers with axes, no Wood Elves with axes,
That'd
no
be disgusting.
other low defense guys with axes that didn't already have an axe. So
Goblins have axes just in case you need.
Wild
goblins.
Men of Dunelendings, feel
Have
free to
axes.
use your axes, but no,
Urkai, they don't have axes.
yeah, the thing is, yeah, if it didn't come in the original box, and I understand there's some that are a little weird, like Birder, we will clarify those when Nova hits, and we are actually going to probably make our own FAQ page so that way people understand this. For the most part, we do follow a lot of the GBHL ones.
Yeah.
On the Nova packet, there is one GBHL ruling regarding monsters, but you'll see that there. Anyway, yeah, whatever came in the box, those are their options. So, no Morannon orcs with whips. I mean,
That'd be wrong.
it is
That's
pretty much what it is. If they didn't have it in the box, then they don't get it. So let me go ahead to the
Dude,
next.
if I could do that, I would do all my elves with hammers in the front, and then have my spear support in the back.
I guess
Knock them down, and the spear stab you to death.
ridiculous stuff.
That would be pretty nasty.
All right, so let me go to the next question from David Whitaker. He says, how to beat Tom, Goldberry, and Treebeard, the infamous conversation that's been dominating our DCHL videos.
That's how it is. We've talked about this so much. Actually, one of the DCH members
Yes.
is actually playing with Tom, Goldberry, and
Wait,
Treebeard.
who is this?
Huh?
Who is this?
Who brought it in?
We have
I
a
forget.
DCHL member doing it? All right.
Yeah, and he brought it in. He has
Wow. All right.
Eagles.
Are you talking about Nathan?
Yeah, it's Nathan.
Is it? All right. Well, he says, all right, so we'll go with this debate. He says, number one, ignore them completely. Focus on the scenario. Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree with that.
Agree that. Unless it's to the death, and then you're just screwed.
Yeah. Number two, just surround him with high strength troops, some two-handed weapons and piercing strikes whenever possible. Eventually, he'll get a bad roll. He only has 3 attacks. If you surround him, you can end up with 10 plus strikes on him easily. He'll go down fast. If he's got Bjorn, just feed Bjorn a few troops a turn while you focus on Treebeard. Once the Ent is down, move on to the Bear. This list must be a minimum of 700 points, so you can easily get in so many troops you can wear them down. Also, put a block of troops, I think he said. It's a walk of troops to block off Tom and Goldberry. So,
Block of troops to trip on.
yeah, block, yeah. Sorry.
I agree. But
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Now, here's the thing. About the Treebeard making a bad roll eventually. The point was he could just mite his 3s to 6s anytime, and then Goldberry and Tom just get it back.
So nasty.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, yeah, trying to block them off. I mean, we've discussed this really at length, so I'm not going to hit it too hard, but yes, your tactics, among the many others that were mentioned, are potentials to work. Otherwise, though, it is still known as a nasty combo, and we hope to all of you don't have to face it in a casual game.
Yeah.
The person who plays that combo already said he only plays this in a special scenario where you have to kill Sauron.
Oh, the only one who's bringing it in is for the arena, the hero arena.
Oh, the arena, yes. For those of you guys who don't know, there is a special version of our match where you also have to kill like dozens and dozens of models, and that is the arena. If you look on Nova's site, it's actually a pretty cheap event. It happens on Thursday. Really fun. It's like one of my favorite events that we have, actually.
Yeah.
So,
Survival.
So basically, next question from One Good Riddance. He says some Nova questions. In connection to determining the Grand Tournament's winner, when you say most accumulated points, what exactly do you mean? And number 2, will Reconoider be played in accordance to the source books? Player scores a point for each of his models exiting the edge.
Yes.
So,
Each round you have a maximum of 10 points that you can earn.
Yeah.
Even in Reconoider, if you got 13 models, broke your opponent, and killed his general, you would still only get 10 maximum points. I think it's really, really cool. So you have a maximum of 50 points total you can get based on all 5 scenarios. Some of the scenarios are harder to score all 10 points. Some are easier.
yeah.
Naturally,
this might be a little different because this actually answers, he just answered your second question. Is it the same as a source book? It kind of is, but it caps you. So, yes, Goblin Town could just exit off with 10 units, and then that's kind of the end of it.
But that doesn't end the game there. It ends once a force is broken to 25%, so your opponent could get 10 victory points as well. And so then it becomes a game of not only you trying to score as much points as possible, but also to deny your opponent points as well.
Yes.
And that's where
the points for breaking and killing a general still apply. Domination is the only one that got a major overhaul. Domination does not work the same way as the source books.
Right.
High ground also does not work the same as source books. Reconoider, slight tweak in what we just mentioned, a cap to the death, pretty much the same as you always remember.
Yep.
So
the big tweak with domination, it's point cost of the model in the area rather than the number of models.
But you'll notice in the new primer, the final primer that's up on my website, domination now is like if you got all the objectives with maximum number of points, then you get 10 points. Like it still caps you out at that.
Yeah.
So probably a bit different than some of you are used to, but this made it the easiest for us to kind of go with in order to figure out who wins. There are a couple tiebreakers in that, which we will mention at Nova. Obviously, it is potentially possible for 2 people to wind up with 48 points, in which case, okay, what do? Have a 6th round? No, there is tiebreakers to this. So we're going off to the next question coming from Sacrilege83. He says, I would love to play on a Mordor Mount Doom map where I get to hurl heroes into the lava of an active volcano. It would be nice to hurl Frodo with the One Ring into there. Wait, would that mean I would automatically lose being as Mordor?
Yes.
Yeah, you pretty much would lose.
If they are the fires of Mount Doom.
Yeah.
If they were not the fires of Mount Doom, then no, you wouldn't lose.
But yeah, otherwise, yes. You
Otherwise,
just killed Sauron.
Yeah.
Congrats.
So you might not want to throw the ring bearer into the hot molten lava.
No, into the fire.
We actually played a mission. We played a high ground, and remember the lava came in afterwards? You set it up. So
yeah. We did do a special version.
We were doing a special version of high ground, basically on, was it turn 3 or 4? Lava came in, and you could only fight on the ground, which sucked. Because I was playing my hunter orcs against trolls and just kept picking up my hunter orcs
and tossing
them into the lava.
As a fun game, it works very well. So
it was rather entertaining. Don't get me wrong. He got really depressed once the shade died, and his trolls started dying after that.
Well, as far as a Mordor board, actually we were going to have one for Nova. Unfortunately, that board never came into existence for this year's Nova. Will be here for next year, but it was for our Last Alliance. If you guys don't know, we have a bunch of scenarios in Nova, and yeah, the Last Alliance was supposed to be one of them that was being played.
Yeah.
So yeah, but absolutely, we're gonna make that board, and hopefully, if you come to Nova next year, I know you're in Canada specifically. Maybe we can find a way. Maybe we can get it up to Canada, Toronto, in the area. So, all right, next question from Ian Marley. He says, Dave Egan is absolutely correct on the Stockport list building event rule. 2 heroes must add up to 250 points or more. This speeds up the game as it forces you to take high point cost profiles, reducing the number of models. And as Damien clarified, yes, that is true. So
sounds good. My Goblin Army would have a turn.
One day maybe we'll try a tournament like that. So next from Lord Purple. Hey guys, can you explain Eagle's strengths and weaknesses?
Eagles?
Yep.
Yeah, they're few in number, but they're really badass.
Well, here's where I would say the problem with the Eagles. Okay, so you're gonna. I'm gonna give you my rundown of them. Really freaking hard to kill. All right, so they're obviously a problem.
D8.
Yeah, defense
Strength
8, 3
6.
wounds.
3 wounds.
Yeah, strength 6, so it's kind of hard to hurl them.
Courage
really
5.
random. And hard to scare them off.
Yeah.
The big thing that most people complain about with them is that they're not monstrous mounts. Now, the only reason that anyone cares is because they only have 2 attacks, so they're not really gonna.
They have 3.
No, they have 2.
I thought it was 3.
Nope, 2 attacks.
Oh, I was looking at Gwar here. He has 3.
No, even Guire only has 2 attacks. Yep, none of the Eagles ever get to 3. He's gonna look this up. He's fact checking me.
Hell yeah!
I'm head judge. No fact checking. No.
See, this is the things we have to deal with.
They have only 2 attacks. So the problem is they don't kill anything. It's like your only option ever is to hurl. Now, granted, when the brutal power attacks came in, hurling became really good with the Eagles.
Even barging with them would be really good too.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. Their ability to fly across lines, of course, being a big strength of theirs, where they can fly. Now, I wouldn't recommend sending them way over. Don't send them out in the beyond, because then you'll never get them back. The enemy will be like, oh, free chicken, and they'll chase that thing.
Unless you're doing a whole army of eagles.
Yeah, but otherwise, their ability to just kind of fly where you need them.
They cost terror too, don't forget terror.
Yes, they do cost terror. But yeah, that's the big weakness, is the 2 attacks. Other than that, their profile is beautiful.
Yeah,
I mean, without that, it's awesome.
Fight 7, so they all fight, even the normal Great Eagles will outfight characters for the most part.
And that is also another great thing about them, is that they can go on par, if not outfight them.
I have a great idea for an Eagle army that my buddy actually improved upon, and I'm going to do it. So,
one thing a lot of people think that made the Eagle list more viable is Radagast Brown.
Yeah, on Great Eagle.
Yep. Radagast Brown made them a lot more viable because he can keep up with them. He can bring that might along, and then some really valuable spells. So not only renew, which is god awful devastating with them because it's already hard enough to wound them. But number 2 is Nature's Wrath, which stops you from being surrounded like crazy, and gives you those double strikes that Eagles don't get when they charge opponents.
And even if they lost the combat at that point, they won't get struck upon.
Exactly.
So
him plus Gwahir plus Eagles. Actually, does
Radagast has aura?
Does he ride Gwahir?
No, he just rides.
Yeah, he's just riding a Great Eagle. Yeah, that's right. So that gives you 2 options of might where you can fly around with, and that gives them a little
the best
bit.
one for the might, though.
Highly recommend a Radagast on Eagle.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do an Eagle list.
Yeah.
So
and then you throw in the bear. Just for good bear, Mister.
And then one day they will add a rule where you can airdrop a bear in. So.
Doesn't he airdrop it? He does airdrop it.
He does in the movies. He airdrops it.
Totally should airdrop him. Yeah. That should totally be a rule.
You should be able to pick him up as a passenger.
Yeah.
Ask your local tournament maker to allow passenger rules so you can airdrop Bjorn. It's just in the fluff.
Well, technically, the one Radagast is on is a mount at that point.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. If you have passengers, you can airdrop bears.
You can airdrop bears in.
Yep.
There you go. It's awesome.
So,
and then Tariel too. Don't forget, she's part of that list as well.
We'll probably run to the next question, as I said, since we have so many.
Fine.
Next one's from Clint Whitney. It says, hey guys, I have a question on paint. Do you have any tips for what paint starts to dry out? For when your paint starts to dry out. I use GW paint primarily.
Really easy. Once you notice your paint start to thicken up a little bit, just put a little bit of filtered water into it, stir it up really good until it's all wet again. That's it.
How much water? A drop? 2 drops?
Well, it depends on how much it's dry. Add a little bit, stir it up. If it's not still kind of chunky, add a little bit more. A little bit at a time, don't overwater it. Adding a little bit's easy to do rather than trying to take water out afterwards. And because they're all acrylic paints, they're water-based, so just adding a little bit of water in it does it really good. But make sure it's distilled water or filtered water. That way it won't have any of the heavy metals in it.
All right.
That's it, man.
Do you have any experience with other paints that don't dry as quickly as GW? Or?
No, all of them will. Vallejo, P3, Army Painter will all eventually start to dry out, and they're all acrylic-based, so they all just need a little bit of water.
There you go, Clint Whitney, asking the tough questions to the experts.
What would you have said?
I would have said, pay someone to paint your mind.
Buy new paint.
I do pain. It's useless. Next question comes from Northwest Hobbit Campaign. He says, "Hey guys, we too are starting a little Battle Companies campaign in Manchester, UK. After reading the rules briefly and choosing my force, Corsairs, hell yeah. I'm wondering, is there anything you would do to stop one force from becoming overpowered and try to keep the battles fairly even? Regards, Steve of GBHL fame."
You know, we did write it into our rules, but I can't remember what we did because it's been so long.
We did actually, yeah. We wrote our rules back in February. We just never.
Yeah, we wrote these rules. We wrote our battle company rules a while ago, and that was a big problem we had. And one way to do it is to keep it short.
Well, no. Actually, I remember one thing we did do was the gold. So the gold, we kept it where it didn't matter who won or lost. Didn't matter about anything. Every phase or cycle or however you guys do it, everyone gets a set amount of gold. We came up with 75.
Yeah, because we wanted our war hosts to grow.
The experience changes. So the experience for your leaders. Now, see, this is where it got a little weird, is because some people use experience differently. In the battle hosts that currently exist, you use experience to promote.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't use ours kind of like that.
And experience for your hero, so you're keeping track of a lot of experience.
Yeah, so your experience is wide varied. You don't know where that's going. But the goal to purchase new troops, everyone gets the same amount.
Yeah.
And to arm them with equipment, everyone gets the same amount.
Yeah.
It's not very, realistic, but in order for the sake of fun and not one player being, alienated because his army's doing so much worse than everybody else, you gotta get rid of some realism.
I think it works out well. We also just made it so our heroes are the only ones that gain experience. So less to keep track of, because we're
so
going
you
to have
actually
bigger
promote
heroes.
through gold almost in a sense.
No, the heroes had a chance after the battle to become a hero, but it was very, very low.
So we haven't play tested ours though. So this is still technically a test concept.
Yeah,
but that's kind of how we.
It should work.
So yeah, that's pretty much all of our battle companies' advice, I suppose we can say. But we'll definitely keep you guys updated, because after Nova, we will be doing a lot of battle companies, a lot of different battle company stuff. So we will keep you in for what our rules will be. But as for now, it looks like we have a lot more questions than we might have time for. So what I'm thinking about doing is splitting this video into 2 different sections. And then we'll film that, and then we'll just kind of post it as a separate video. That way you guys don't have to watch an hour-long video all at once. You can come back to this one. So with that in mind, I guess we will go ahead and end this video here, and we'll see you next time.
Later, guys.